Are you ever driving around in BeamNG with traffic, but it just feels like it lacks variety? Well, that's why I wish we had bus traffic, just random buses following random routes. I understand the current AI may struggle to drive a bus, however, with some more improvements, I believe that this could add so much more immersion, especially in the big cities like Belasco. Anyways, that is one of 12 quality of life changes that I believe BeamNG needs. This next change is one that has been very well covered, however it is still worth a mention, it being dirt and scratch physics. I know everyone wants realistic terrain deformation, however I believe that is still quite far away, and is more than just a quality of life change, being more of a massive update. However, all I mean by this section is dirt and scratch physics, even like what we see in Farming Simulator. It may not be much, however after a hard rally session, it's nice to see you have gained some dust, and can make the game feel so much more real. This next one, BeamMG has made some changes to through their quick start menu, however I believe there's still a lot to be done. Skyfall did touch on this in one of his videos,
but it's also what scares potential players off at the moment. When a game offers infinite freedom without a clear direction, it creates a barrier to entry.
And that's what inspired this section. Exactly as Sky said, there is so much option and no clear indication where to start or what to do. So in summary, I think BeamMG needs a tutorial, like a lot of modern games have, detailing how the menu works, how to select a car, how to use the new radial menu, and even as simple as just explaining what each option on the main menu does. This will make no difference to us experienced players, however it may stop the negative reviews of people just being confused, claiming there is nothing to do, when in reality they just don't know what is on offer. And not to brag, but I do think I'm a bit of an expert with negative reviews. This next one is a true quality of life change, one that will affect very few people other than those who enjoy a realistic drive in BeamMG, like myself. When you're driving along up to some traffic lights and they turn red, just as they should in real life, going green, amber, red. However, when you're sat waiting at the light, slowly zoning out, then suddenly the lights go red, green, no in between like you would expect in real life. Although this is just a minute detail, it is one that at least personally has an impact on my immersion. This actually ties us perfectly into the next one, which is the AI traffic in BeamMG must have been based on BMW drivers. As I frequently drive around with traffic on, the amount of times I have to slam on my brakes for a car that just turns with no indicators or prior warning. This is one detail that quite strongly breaks my immersion due to the amount of near misses or actual collisions that occur due to these idiot drivers. However, I'm not going to give the AI a section in this video. For one, I believe it's more than just a mere quality of life change, and for two, I would be here all day talking about all the issues with AI. However, if you do want a full-length video going in depth into BeamMG's AI and traffic and all of its pros and cons, please comment down below cheeseburger. Just real quick, these videos do take quite a while to make, so a little like and subscribe would be greatly appreciated. Anyways, let's now discuss. I don't know about you, however personally I play the same map or use the same cars almost every day, only really changing maps or cars to get footage for videos. That's why I would love the ability to favourite/star my most commonly used configs and maps. And of course BeamMG has got a lot closer to this by adding the recents bar. However, when you're filming and bouncing between places and cars, I sometimes wish I just had my favourites pinned for that split second of time that it would save me. However, I do suppose that is the point of a quality of life change. This next one is huge, at least for me. Since I first started playing Beam several years ago, I have wanted this feature, that being a working navigator. Obviously we have the map, however, rather unrealistically, it paints these massive blue lines and arrows on the road. And I don't know about you, but my real sat-nav does not do this. Therefore, I wish I could set a destination, turn off all the on-road markers in my settings, and use my car's center console or beam navigator unit to actually navigate myself to the destination, like a real-life sat-nav. Bonus points if it speaks, but I don't even need that. Just a working map I can glance at when driving. This is probably the biggest immersion breaker for me on this list. This one was heavily inspired by Euro Truck Simulator 2. So when you're driving around in Euro Truck Simulator 2, you regularly come across roads being closed by police, car accidents causing closed lanes, or police pulling over cars or trucks. All small, static details which make the game feel so alive. This isn't as straightforward in Beam, as BeamNG does use smaller maps. But imagine driving down the highway in West Coast and you see a lane ahead closed off with cones due to a broken down car. That would be awesome. And it means you actually have to think when changing lanes, not just repetitive driving with the same stupid AI, nothing actually different and nothing interesting. Or other situations like a car crash, closing most of the lanes. Maybe not closed roads like in Euro Truck Simulator, as BeamNG is so much smaller, it's harder to go around and take a detour. And as mentioned before, the AI does need to be heavily improved, as right now if a road is blocked, the AI just gets confused. One thing I learned during my time on YouTube is that audio is the most important thing in any video. The same applies for games. If BeamNG sounded like a shitty Roblox game, nobody would play it. Therefore, BeamNG devs keep improving the sound of engines and generally cars and environments. Therefore, I think we need to have more ambient sounds. We already have quite a few, such as on Jungle Rock Island you can hear the birds chirping, or the water flowing. However, if you compare this to the hustle and bustle of a city centre construction site, pure silence. No workers, no noises, no distant car horns, nothing. Complete silence. Don't get me wrong, this should not be overdone. I feel some construction noises or distant honking when traffic is enabled would add so much to the game. This next one is once again relating to people who like to take BeamNG more realistically sometimes, like me. I personally love driving around in a double-decker capsule bus. However, it can be annoying when bridges have a lack of height warnings, resulting in a new single-decker bus. Don't get me wrong, BeamNG totally has all the fundamentals down, speed limits, stop signs, however it does lack these couple of really niche signs which I believe could do quite a lot for immersion. At least, that's what I think. In the first part, I spoke about streetlights. However, I knew why that had never been added due to massive performance impacts. However, one day I was overlooking the city I live in, seeing the glow of thousands of buildings, and thought surely in BeamNG it won't be that resource intensive to have some skyscraper lights glow slightly to make the city feel more lived in and less empty. In terms of immersion, I feel this may add even more than streetlights, as although they're cool, they don't make you feel as though you're in a lived in place, but random distant glows I think could be awesome. This next one is a tiny change that will officially make BeamNG the most realistic simulation game. You know how in real life, if you leave your door open on a car, it will beep at you, or when you start the car, all the warning lights will flash on just for a second. Well, I think a change this small would have a huge impact in BeamNG. I mean, just listen and watch and tell me this isn't cool.
Left door is open. Left door is open. Left door is open.
Anyways, thank you all very much for watching. You know how it goes. YouTube thinks you'll like the video now on screen, and please comment any changes you think I missed or that you want in a future update.